blah, blah, whatever. And it could start this whole fight. And you can certainly see that happening, but we often have to think of, like, me throwing out a word like you're a jerk, or some worse word. That's a verbal attack. We can really equate it to an actual physical attack, a punch. If someone was coming at you and was going to punch you, what is your automatic response? You're going to block it, right? You're going to block it, and then you're probably going to get defensive so that you could fight back. Okay. The same thing happens in verbal arguments. You throw a punch, a verbal attack of a bad word, that person automatically is going to block in their brain, and then they're going to get defensive. And there's just going to be no solution to that main problem, because you're going to be fighting up here on a very superficial level. You're not going to be really getting to the root of the problem. So a much better way for me to approach that is, when you come home late, I feel like you don't value my job. Or when you are late, it makes me nervous and it makes me sad because I feel like you don't care that I have to get to this meeting. Okay. And when I make a statement like that, I mean, it's honest and it's true and it's my feelings. And, you know, it would evoke a response of, you know, wow, I didn't know you felt like that, or I didn't know me being late made you feel that way. And it should cause a real open dialogue and open communication about that problem. Okay. So I know they're kind of cheesy to think about, but those types of statements can really help, and it can help you move along in all kinds of relationships with friends, with parents, with children, right? Even with your kids, you can say, when you act like this, you make me feel this way. And it just gets to a more healthy relationship. Okay. Let's see. Oh, this one here, it says relationship success depends on a high ratio of positive actions and positive startups. So obviously this is no surprise to anybody. You want to have positive interactions. You want to have positive statements towards somebody. If it's constantly negative, you're going to get tired. They're going to get tired of it. And it's just not going to work. We often think of like a bank, you know, you want to make deposits, right? You don't always want to be taking out negatives because it's not going to be healthy. It's not going to work. Behavioral therapy, like I had said, oftentimes, you know, really gets to the way that the couples are communicating. That is just honestly one of the number one problems there. So let's see. Oh, so jealousy in a relationship. We oftentimes say that men have sexual jealousy and women have emotional jealousy. And I want to say we had talked about this a little bit before, but so sexual jealousy from the male's end is, you know, I don't care if you are friends with him, just don't, you know, bleep him, right? Or just don't have sex with him. And the female might be like, I don't care if you, you know, do that. Are you, you know, just don't fall in love with her, just don't love her. You know, I think to an extent, these might have a kernel of truth to them. But I don't know. I think it kind of reduces men down to having no feelings, and it reduces women down to only caring about money and, you know, security. And I don't think that's true. So I have a little bit of a hard time with this theory. Yeah, I was just about to say, and I just saw the word right here, evolution. This is a very evolutionary perspective. You know, that the evolutionary perspective, I think, is the best way to think about it is really reduce the human down to a very primal animal-like, no higher thought, no higher emotion, okay? Almost like lions on the Sahara, or, you know, how would two, I don't know, bears or two dogs interact? So that's why I don't know if I necessarily agree with the evolutionary perspective in this one. Let's see, jealousy. You know, here the idea that jealousy can have positive and negative consequences. You know, sometimes you have people report that knowing their boyfriend or girlfriend or, you know, partner or whatever, spouse, whoever it may be, is jealous because it can kind of spark the idea that, wow, they still care, you know, they still love me, they still care. And that's true, you know, to an extent, but I would be real careful with that, because overly jealous can be a big problem. And overly jealous can be a red flag for manipulation. It can be a red flag for emotional abuse or any type of abusive behavior. So I would be real careful with that idea, okay? Jealousy can help maintain relationships that are threatened, right? And I can see that if two couples aren't communicating and, you know, they're having, you know, no passion, they're kind of feeling down about each other or whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden, you know, someone takes an interest in the husband, and then the wife is kind of like, hey, what's going on here? The husband might be kind of reminded like, wow, I didn't think you would notice. I didn't think you would care. So I can agree with jealousy in that sense. But again, I would be real careful with that. So like it's saying here, you know, spousal murder. I mean, it can get really bad, right? Delusional jealousy is self-destructive jealousy. You know, aggressive. It's you know, could be based on false beliefs, constant ruminating about what they might be doing. You know, really hounding this person. It can turn into stalking. You know, and that's just destructive. It's going to be self-destructive for that person. It's going to be probably cause the individual in the relationship to leave you, and all for what, you know? And so we if you know anyone that's in this type of situation, you know, or it's hard, but we need to get them out of that thinking or out of that relationship. Okay. Unrequited love is, you know, you're desperately in love with someone and they're not reciprocating. They don't have that same feeling back. You know, that's sad, right? It's sad. It's obviously sad for, here it says the suitor, the person who's in love, because it's always, you know, broken hearts are just the worst. And it can be really hard for the rejector also, you know. People don't like to break hearts. They usually, right? They don't like to make people sad. They don't like to do that to someone or feel like they're ruining someone's life, or, you know, so it can be really hard for both people, the breaker and the breakee, right? Here is a little bit about, you know, where this can get really bad, right? The controlling, the manipulative. You know, they just don't stop. And of course, it can start to lead into what I had said about stalking. You know, you want to be careful with that. And here it's saying the rejector is likely to experience guilt, which is true. But if, you know, but this person still needs to be very strong and very straightforward with their words. I know it's hard to be a rejecter or the breaky, or the breaker, I guess, but it's necessary. You know, I was just talking to my daughter about a couple at high school, and this boy just, you know, he tells everybody else that he doesn't like this girl. He jokes about it with groups of friends. He talks badly about her, but they'll see him walking and holding hands with her. You know, she really likes him. And then, you know, sometimes you see them out like at the park or something like that. And it's just, you know, one, who do you believe? And why would he be saying those things behind her back if he doesn't really like her? Is he just stringing her along? Is he not being forceful with trying to reject her because he feels bad? But those are behaviors that are really lighting a fire under someone who could take that the wrong way, right? And really turn that into something bad. She could get very, you know, hurt, very sad, very depressed. It could turn into another situation where she starts stalking him, very confused. So you want to be careful with that. If you're breaking up with someone, it's like a Band-Aid, man. Just rip that off and just cut it. Don't be like, well, maybe, you know, anything like that. Just, man, just shut it down. So it's very clear. Okay. So this is the suitor and the rejecter, okay, or the person who is in love, and then the person who is breaking up or rejecting that person. Okay, so the rejecter is the green. All right, so rejecter initially reciprocated the feelings. Okay, so the person in love is saying, no, they did feel that way about me. The rejecter is like, I don't remember that at all. Okay, suitor's love was communicated. Okay, the orange agrees, yes, I told him I loved him. The green, yes, she told me she loved me. They both agree on that. The rejecter led the suitor on. Okay, they believe that to be true. They say, yes, he led me on. The rejector's like, no, I didn't. Rejector did not lead the suitor on. They don't agree with that. They say he did. This one is like, no, I didn't lead him on. Okay. There was overt, explicit rejection was communicated. Okay. That Band-Aid was ripped off. I do not want to be with you. I'm sorry. They say no. They were not overt. They were not clear about their rejection. The rejector was like, yes, I was. Okay. The suitor persisted after rejection. They're like, no, I didn't. If he was clear with me, the minute he told me he didn't want me, I wasn't with him, or I didn't keep trying. The rejector says, yes, they did. They kept going. They kept going. And so really, what does this chart tell us is that obvious miscommunication, obvious missed signals, obvious misinterpretation of events. Okay, so what we really can advise is that for the rejector to be 100% clear in their expression of their feelings, and do not lead anything up to imagination, because if you leave a little bit of a door open, then the suitor is going to see that that's what you did. Like, well, they said maybe. It makes me think of Dumb and Dumber right now, where he's like, so you're saying there's a chance, right? With the 1 in a million. They just interpret it differently. So let's see. Extra pair relationships. What is this? Is this like an extramarital affair or an extra? I guess so. Yeah. So extra pair relation. I don't know why they call it that. So an outside person, right? An outside person, you know, may or may not be known to the other party, the person in the relationship. So it might be secretive. They might know about the other person. You know, you can meet other people in school, at work, online. Obviously, that's a really big thing now. You know, and it just it just happens for a number of reasons. An initial attraction, that person feeling heard and understood by the other person, that person being wanted or pursued by the other person. Those are all feelings that can make you feel good about yourself. And if someone's doing that, then you can feel good. And if you're not really secure in the relationship, or you're having problems in that relationship, then chances are that person's going to jump on it, and they're going to take that opportunity. So, infidelity happens a lot. We always say it happens more with men than with women. And that's, sort of true, but women cheat also. We are not by any means saying that women do not cheat. That is not true. So, trying to figure out why cheating happens, you could run through all of the same perspectives for psychology, right? Is there a biological reason? Is there an emotional or socio-emotional reason? Is there an environmental reason? Is there an evolutionary reason? Yes, all of them, right? All of them. A very evolutionary perspective would be that men want to just try and have as much, sex with as many women that they can, so that they can propagate the species and they can have their genes in the gene pool. I don't know, maybe. I don't think so, though. That's one reason. Women, there really is no evolutionary kind of reason that I can think of for why a female would cheat, other than if she feels like the other man has better resources, will take care of her more than the male that she's with. Okay. I don't know, maybe, twin study, right? Saying that the infidelity gene or whatever that they might inherit is 62% with men and 40% with women. So perhaps. Most couples are monogamous, over the entire duration of marriage and cohabitation. And, most people believe that it's wrong. The church tells you it's wrong. The law will tell you it's wrong, right? If you go to get divorced, it can tear families apart. It can do, all kinds of long-term consequences that may or may not offset that immediate reward. Humans are really fallible in that we want to have that immediate reward, and we don't think about possible long-term consequences. But for the most part, people are in it. Once they're committed, they're pretty committed to each other. I think an affair in a relationship, it just depends. It depends on the couple. It depends on their communication. It depends on how happy they are before. It depends on resources. There's all kinds of reasons why or why not. An affair in a marriage may break it or not break the marriage. And I think we shouldn't pass too much judgment. It's a whole other ball game if you're in those shoes. So, it's just kind of none of our business, right? What other people do. But for the most part, most Americans believe that it's wrong. This kind of makes me think of, right, you see all those women like calling out men now on TikTok and stuff, right? Putting up signs and calling out husbands for cheating, and, yeah, definitely get shamed. I don't know how good of a relationship that is if she's willing to do that. That's airing a lot of dirty laundry. But let's see. Monogamy. So were you monogamous before the marriage, during the marriage, after the marriage? So men, it looks like, are pretty monogamous. But I don't know what this means. So let's see, percentage of women and men who said they had more than one. a new sex partner before, during, or after. So, okay. So I guess men are a new sex partner after their first marriage. I don't really understand what this is trying to say. I need to read that a little bit better. Wow, so I went through that pretty fast, but that's okay. So I guess I will end it there. I don't know if there's even anybody else left on here. I think I was just talking to myself that whole time, which is fine. So I will see you guys later. Have a good one. Oh, I do have a couple people on. All right, any questions? Hi, I thought I was all by myself.
No,